Alright guys, so welcome back to another video. I'm glad you could join me this afternoon or this evening whenever you decide to watch it. So I Hate New Jersey had a video request and he's pretty much saying that people that brag about being from the hood is cringe. And you know what? I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Alright, it's ridiculous. But we're gonna break it down. Okay, we're gonna break it down. And me being from the suburbs, okay, I'm from the deep country. Like where I'm from, I had zero neighbors growing up. We had a bunch of horses, a bunch of cows, a bunch of chickens. So you pretty much say I'm like a farm boy, and I still consider myself a country boy to this day. And when I went to school, a lot of the other kids I went to school with, they would always brag about like what hood they were from, being from the hood, and you know they glorified that shit. They knew nothing about country living. That was like foreign to them. All they knew about was like hood stuff, and they would constantly brag about it and all this stuff. Even back then, you know, that was the thing, people bragging about being from the hood. And now I know a lot of people are from the hood, but a lot of people actually might try to get out that situation. They might look for different ways to get out of that. But I'm mainly talking about the people that glorify it, okay? The people that glorify living below the poverty line. They think being in the hood somehow makes you this harder person, okay? That's pretty much what it comes down to. They feel as though if you're not from the hood, like you're not hard, quote unquote. Yeah, that's pretty much what it all boils down to. But if you know you're from the hood, you're like this hard gangster and all this stuff. At my school, if you was black and you was from like a nice middle class neighborhood, they would consider you soft like instantly. They couldn't be more wrong about that, because a lot of those guys that were from the middle class neighborhoods were quote unquote stronger and tougher than a lot of those hood people were. But it's just a stereotype. If you was from like a middle class or a upper middle class neighborhood, you was considered soft. And the way it worked was, the higher class you were, the more softer you were. Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's just even in adulthood, you know, it's like that in like rap culture and all that stuff. We'll get to that in a second though. But back to high school, like the higher in class you were, okay, so like middle class, you were soft. Upper middle class, you were super soft. Upper middle class, you were super duper soft. Pretty much like that. I know it sounds crazy, but that's kind of how it was. And if you was like somebody from the suburbs, they wouldn't really consider you soft being from the suburbs, but they wouldn't consider you like how they were, okay? They wouldn't consider you tough by any means. You would have to show them otherwise. But pretty much, if you weren't from the hood, you were soft. I kind of blame pop culture for that. You know, I blame pop culture because like you listen to the music, the rap lyrics, what they always talking about. They always talking about hood shit, stuff like that. But I mean, they got these people fooled, because a lot of those guys that rap that stuff, you'd be surprised. A lot of those guys got college degrees. A lot of those guys went to private schools. Like Jadakiss, he just talk about all he rap about is street shit, you know, stuff like that. But I think they were saying he went to a private school, you know, and he come from a two-parent household. Yeah, so a lot of these rappers, they have these people fooled. They listen to this music and they think that you know, this hood life is just some kind of, it should be glorified. And that's another thing I want to talk about. They consider you soft if you come from a two-parent household. Yeah, again, it's ridiculous, I know. A lot of those guys, they were raised by single mothers, but they consider you soft if you had a father in your household and you was raised by both your mother and your father. See, that's just a stereotype. That's how it was. And it's not true, okay? Because let me tell you this. A lot of those guys from the hood that were raised by single mothers, they some of the softest people I ever met. They were raised by their mother, okay? They did not have a father in their house. They were raised by their mother for one. So, you know, all those years being raised by a female, they just took on the personality traits of a woman. Really, real talk. Not every single one, but I'll venture to say most guys that were raised by a single mother and a single mother household that's from the hood, quote unquote, they take on like all this feminine energy from their single mother, and that's why they're the most likely to act out. That's why they're the most impulsive, and that's why the jail system is is filled with mainly males that were raised by a single mother. Look it up. Look it up. It's true. They're sitting here considering people soft that were raised by both parents, but they the ones that got feminine energy, okay? They got feminine ways because they were raised by their mother. They're the first ones to act out. They're the first ones to be impulsive, like I said before. Yeah, they didn't have a father to teach them how to be masculine. They don't have no masculine energy. They just got all that feminine energy. But in the hood, see the way it works in hood culture, you act like that's considered masculine. So you got all this, you act like a woman, you're impulsive and all this stuff. You act like your mother. Okay, I'm talking about the guys that are raised by single mothers. You act like your mother, okay? You're impulsive, you're just all this stuff, and you took on all these feminine traits. Oh, they consider that masculine in the hood. Okay, they do. They consider that masculine, where you're just you're more laid back, you're more chill, more reserved. No, they don't consider you masculine. See, it's like it's backwards. This whole hood culture thing is backwards, to be honest with you. So yeah, I agree. It is cringe. There's nothing to glorify about living in the hood. A lot of people that live in the hood would like to get out the hood. It's ironic because they're in that predicament. Okay, they live in the hood and all this stuff, but they would love to live in a middle class suburb area or a middle class neighborhood. The same ones that were in high school calling those people soft that were from these nice neighborhoods, they would do anything to live that lifestyle and be in those neighborhoods. You see how that worked? But they'll never admit it, okay? Kind of like the religious people don't want to admit certain things. Well, people in the hood the same way, because they start talking like that and other people start hearing it, they're gonna start calling them soft and calling them sellouts. And the way it works in the hood is they got like a very crab in the barrel mentality. Like you live in the hood and you say you want to move to a nicer neighborhood, people are gonna start hating on you. They're gonna start calling you a sellout and all this stuff. They're gonna say things like, you don't want to live with your own type of people. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, that's how they do. It's a very, very cutthroat, very crab in the barrel mentality. If you live in the hood, the people that surround you, they don't want to see you leave the hood. They want to see you stuck in that predicament just like them. Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, it's very true. A lot of my friends are from the hood. They want to glorify living there. I'm just saying in general, pop culture and all this stuff. They want to glorify living in the hood, but there's nothing good about living there. Okay, because if you're the type that's ambitious, people are gonna shoot you down. If you're the type that want to get out that predicament, you want to move somewhere else, people are going to shoot you down. When I say shoot you down, I'm trying to say they want to discourage you from doing it because they can't get out that predicament and they don't want to see you elevate and better yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's nothing good about that. I wouldn't want to be in that predicament with a bunch of crabs in the barrel. Another thing about living in the hood, a lot of kids that were in my high school, they had to walk in groups because if they walked alone, they were likely to get jumped. See? Likely to get jumped by their own people. See what I mean? So I can't think of one good reason to be in the hood. Like I'm sitting here making this video on the fly and I'm literally trying to think of one good reason or one pro of living in the hood. I can't think of any. I can't think of any pros. It's all cons, and I can go on all day. I'm not gonna name every single one I come up with, but I can go on all day. I can't think of one pro of living in the hood. It's all bad. Okay, it's all bad. I don't care what they say in the rap lyrics. I don't care what pop culture says. It's nothing good about living in the hood. It's nothing. Nothing good there. People don't get along. It's a lot of violence. Like I said before, the crabs in the barrel mentality. People don't want to see you get out of the hood. They want to see you stuck in the hood just like them. What else? I remember talking to a dude and he was bragging about the fact that in his house he didn't have AC and that his mom didn't have a car. Raised by a single mother, of course, because most of them are raised by single mothers. But he used to brag about not having AC in his house. They had to use fans. He bragged about not having a washer or a dryer. They had to wash their clothes by hands and they had to dry their clothes on clothes hangers outside. So pretty much they had to let their clothes dry in the sun and blow in the wind. And he used to brag about his mom not having a car. He used to brag about how hard life was. See, and a lot of people are guilty of this. A lot of people from the hood are guilty of this. They want to brag about this stuff as though it's supposed to make them some kind of tough guy, some kind of no, you're not tough. And I'm just gonna be straight up. You are not, you're not tough because you didn't have AC in your house. You're not tough because your mother did not have a car. You're not tough because you had to dry your clothes on a clothes hanger. No, you are an impoverished bitch. That's all you are. That's all you are. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it straight up. That's all you are. I mean, that's not gonna make you some gangster or some tough guy because you had a hard life. No, that's not how that worked. But that's what they would like for you to believe. The more they struggle, it's pretty much like the more of a struggle their life is, the somehow the tougher they are. Okay, but no, they're far from that. And another thing about being in the hood, like I said, I can't think of one pro but all cons. But let something happen, let there be a societal collapse. You know, we used to talk about that on this channel, like, you know, society collapsing, like a grid down scenario, like all the lights go out or whatever. Let's say the lights go out, you know, the power grid go down. Man, let me tell you, the hood is the last place you want to be in that scenario. The hood is the absolute last place you want to be in such a scenario. I would say within the first 48 to 72 hours, you already know what they're gonna start doing. If the lights went out, if there's no electricity, there's no food, they're gonna start unaliving each other. I mean, they already do that now. In the real bad hoods, they already do that now. When times are good, they already unalive each other. Now, imagine when times are bad, when there's no food, no lights, no access to resources, no access to the resources you need to survive. Imagine what they're going to start doing. You will not survive in the hood in a scenario like that. You're not. And don't let it be a situation where you have food and your neighbors around you do not have food. Oh my God, they're gonna murk you straight up. They're gonna take what, if they don't murk you, they're gonna take what you got. Real talk. They're gonna break in. They're gonna take what you got. That's gonna happen in the hood. I'm telling you. All right, because just look now. When times are good, it's overrun with violence. It's overrun with dysfunction. When times are good, when you can walk into your refrigerator, open it up, and make a bologna sandwich or whatever, or you can walk into your room, flick a switch, and turn your lights on. When times are good, there's nothing but chaos and dysfunction in the hood. Now, just use your imagination and take away the lights, take away the food. Imagine what's going to happen then. Okay, it's going to be just overboiling with chaos and dysfunction, and a lot of people are going to be unalived, and they don't care if it's a child or anything. They don't care if it's an elderly person. They don't care now. Okay, they don't care now. Keep up with the news, like listen to some of the things that happen in Chicago and bad places like that, where children, innocent children, be bystanders, and you know, something bad happens to them, or an elderly person will be a bystander and something bad will happen to them. See, same thing's going to happen if the grid go down. I'm telling you, the hood, that's the last place you want to be in the bad scenario, a bad situation, because everyone's going to turn on each other, and you can't trust nobody. All right, I'm telling you. So like I said, I can't think of one pro. I'm sitting here trying to think of one pro, but I can't. I can't. I was gonna say maybe with Section 8 you get this government assistance, but I don't see that as good either. So again, I can't think of one pro. If any of you guys can think of one pro, leave it in the comments, because I'm curious to see what you can come up with, because I can't come up with anything. All I can come up with is bad stuff of being in the hood. Back in the day, I worked with a furniture company, and we used to like move furniture and deliver furniture and all that stuff. And you know, I used to drive the truck, and there were times where we had to transit through the hood. Okay, we had to go through the hood, and I hated driving through the hood even with that big truck, because they would be out there, they would be looking at you like kind of like they were plotting to steal off the, even if you're driving a big truck, a big furniture truck, it's like they would still plot to take from you, regardless if it's a big company vehicle. They will still use that as an opportunity to steal something. It never happened. It never happened, but those are the vibes you would get when you would drive through those bad areas. Yeah, so even when I was working for that furniture company, delivering furniture and moving furniture, like I hated driving through the hood then, seeing like the real bad parts. Yeah, it's just rough. It's just rough. I would not want to live there. To any of you guys that live there and you're trying to get out, hey, good for you. Don't let them hold you back. Don't let them manipulate you into thinking that you have to spend the rest of your life there, because you don't. Unfortunately, most of them do, but I mean, if you're the type that's ambitious and you want to break free from that, hey, by all means do it. Don't let the crabs in the barrel drag you down. All right, because that's what they'll try to do, because they can't get out of the situation they're in. Back to the original topic, yes, bragging about being from the hood is completely cringe, because there's nothing good. You're just bragging about how hard your life is. All right, that's kind of like the people in these poor countries. That's kind of like going to the Philippines or going to Indonesia or Cambodia. Places I've been when I was in the military that were super, super impoverished. Very, very poor areas. That's kind of like them bragging about being super poor. If you could compare the people in Indonesia or Cambodia, the real poor places, and compare them to the people here that live in the hood, quote unquote, the people in Cambodia would see the people that live in the hood as like upper middle class. Yeah, real talk, because that's how poor they are over in Cambodia. That's how poor they are. They don't know where their meal is going to come from. They want water, they gotta walk down to the creek and drink from this nasty creek. That's how they get their water. All right. You don't know what poor is until you visit those places. But they don't brag about their hardships. They don't brag about that. If you go to Cambodia and you're like a middle class person, they're not going to call you soft because you're not living their lifestyle. That's not the mentality they have. But over here, that's what these people want to do. See what I mean? So yes, absolutely cringe. It's not good. And if something bad happens in society, a societal collapse, I don't know, anything, the lights go out, like I said earlier, the hood is the last place you want to be. That's the last place you want to be, I'm telling you. Okay, so that's really all I can say on that. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you guys on the next one.